Good morning, everyone. It is Mo from Mo in the Deep End, and we have made it to the 19th. It is Friday. We have made it through this week. Although I will tell you about midway through Sam's Club last night, I was like, I don't know if we're going to make it, y'all. I was looking around for, uh, oh gosh, I was looking around like, can we have rabbits on our farm, Lenny? Like I was full stick a fork in me done. And, as always, learning to pace yourself is one of those things that I will continue to have on one of my mini goal Post-it notepads. Uh, Good morning, Cynthia, retired firefighter, and Christine and Reindeer. Good to see you again, and thank you for that story you sent. I have, uh, such an odd weekend coming up that I'll be able to do a lot of stories. And welcome, Wolfram, Jeff Clark. Good morning, Squid Pro Quo, Debbie W, and Tammy, and Lori. Good morning, Nanny Goat and Kim. Good morning, Old Line Red. Good morning, and Eris. So hopefully we have a wonderful Friday coming up for everyone. Our first story, well, it wasn't so great of a day for this gentleman. He was just dying to get alone. That was a terrible joke. You can all join me in purgatory if you snort it into your coffee. But new footage shows woman who used unalive uncle to sign. That is the true definition of hand over hand assistance. As I said, she was simply assisting him with his car's extended warranty. I mean, you don't want that thing to lapse on your way to the hospital. Arriving by taxi with the driver helping move the body. I mean, y'all, did anyone not see this and think, "This guy looks really unwell." As said driver, this guy, I mean, did you not notice a difference between, like, a live person and a person who's done shuffled off this mortal coil? And as I am operating on 4 hours of sleep, I mean, a great many things might escape my notice. But, I am confused on this one. And yes, go check out Squid Pro Quo's channel. We will so randomly our mods will put up different links to other channels. We have so many cool people that have just are starting their own channels and doing awesome things. And hopefully I will have a panel soon. As I said, today may not be the day that I'm going to do that. But I definitely have a lot of plans that I would like to invite, channels that are just starting up to do kind of panel stuff eventually, but it will definitely be closer to the summertime, realistically because, all of the children and school stuff. On to the store and welcome General T and Tracy and Nanny Goat. If I didn't say hi to you, hello, and Peter A. I need to, if this weekend weren't chock full of everything, I would say I would do it, uh, this Friday evening, but I do have a story time at the end of what I'll be doing this weekend and what I hope to accomplish. It's always like me explaining why my homework isn't done at the end of the week. It should have been a dead giveaway. The Brazilian woman who took her dead uncle to a bank to sign a loan in her name arrived there by taxi, with a video even showing the driver helping her move the corpse into the car. I mean, I don't know if you all have Twitter, but I saw footage of this and he's off color. He If I were the service manager, I would be calling 911. I would not be dealing with servicing this woman's loan. Erica de Sousa Vieira Nunez, or Nunez arrived or was arrested Tuesday after taking the body of her 68-year-old uncle, Paulo Roberto Braga, to a bank, then moving his hand to sign a key document to get her a loan for $3,400. I was hoping that the number was gonna be big for this level of depravity. Like, I mean, call me call me a moral absolutist, but if it's anything under 1,000,000, I am not hauling, I'm not putting the karmic stain on my soul to haul a dead relative's body into the bank. That seems like a very low sort of cash thing or cash grab for kind of the karmic debt you're gonna pay for something so awful. Newly emerged video shows Nunez, who reportedly told cops that she didn't know her uncle was, well, no longer with us, arriving by arriving at the bank by taxi with her motionless uncle in the front passenger seat next to the rideshare driver. Well, so I am not a doctorologist. I am not even a medical examiner, even elected in the states where you don't even have to hold a medical license. But he hasn't gone into rigor, or he's been dead so long that he's come out of rigor, because I do know that there is a window of time, I think 6 to 8 hours, where your body will go into full rigor mortis. You will stay in rigor mortis for a certain amount of time, and then your body starts to loosen again. So, he was either it just the depravity of this. Oh, well, Rich Buddy, I try to use different insert your faith-based thing, because while I may be the world's worst Christian, I know that not everyone believes in God or the universe or the spaghetti monster, and I am not here to proselytize. I am simply here to try to put this in sort of comedic, comedic terms out of dark things. So, I I will say that I have noticed that generally good people who try to live their life as a good person, whether through God, the universe, or other people helping them out when they really need it, seem to get that kind of helping hand, where if you're generally a dingleberry and a boil on the butt of humanity, you tend to get some sort of justice in the end. It may not be immediate, but I it was more of a literary tool, to be honest, a wordular tool to explain things. The footage, which has no sound, shows Nunes, placing a wheelchair outside the car door, reaching inside to grab her late uncle. E What I'm trying to understand is, if you are the driver and you had to help this gentleman out, even with someone who, okay, take me for example. There are days that I really cannot use my left leg, but that doesn't mean that I won't try to assist Mr. Mo if he's gonna help me up to do something or help me walk somewhere. I'm still going to use things. So people that may be paraplegic will still try to assist. I mean, he looks like just dead weight, and his color is so off that I can't imagine that anyone didn't take one look at this man and say, "Yeah, we're not going to the bank, we're going to the hospital." Good morning, publicly buzzed. The driver then helps her put him out into the wheelchair, where the uncle slumps and with his head tilted to the right. See, that's where you get me, because again, most people, even if they have sort of wasted, even if their body is maybe not has the doesn't have the muscles, they will tend to try to orientate themselves to where their head isn't unsupported or things like that. I liken it more to you can tell a kid is really passed out in his car seat when he's doing the I mean, anything else there and Fed, you could be absolutely right. He was just, some people are just not observant like that. They're paid to do a job and they don't want to interfere. So I get it. I just know that if I was seeing, a client trying to hand over hand sign with someone whose lips were blue, I don't know that I would feel comfortable with that. At one point, a man walks by and does a double take. He turns around and appears to speak with Nunez while motioning to Braga, but then continues on his way. I mean, you also have the bystander effect. People don't want to get into other people's business. We don't know the full story of what's going on, and honest to goodness, not our flying squirrels, not our problem. Another video taken the day before shows her bringing the visibly alive Braga to the emergency room. She then insisted she did know that her relative was dead when she took him to the bank to sign documents that would allow her to take out a $3,400 loan. Braga's autopsy found that he had died between 11:30 and 12:30 p.m. local time Tuesday, with the cause of death being determined as respiratory aspiration of stomach contents and heart failure. Police Chief Fabio Luis said that the man's blood had pooled within his vessels, suggesting that Braga did not die seated, but rather than lying down. And that would account for the sort of darker skin pigmentation, if we all remember the famous line from Sarah Boone, "But why is he purple?" Well, it's blood lividity. It basically when blood is not being pumped through your body, it will tend to settle in orientation to gravity, so blood will pool lividity. Yes, Nanny goat. Unless I said liquidity, which is look, y'all, 4 hours of sleep. I'm gonna tell you, my leg was like, "No more Sam's Club. No more." Braga's toxicology tests are still pending. She is facing charges of theft by way of fraud and desecration of a corpse. Her attorney claimed that she suffered from mental health issues and may have experienced a mental breakdown. Erica undergoes a psychological treatment and takes prescribed medications. Well, I mean, y'all, who in the current year doesn't? I mean, honest to goodness, who in current timeline doesn't have generalized anxiety about the end of, the world being taken, after with such glee by our current leadership set? But we still don't drag, well, great auntie's urn off the top shelf and try to duct tape a pen to it to get, $5 out of the local credit union. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, but I'm getting a little bit tired. Again, whatever crud you deal with, and I had to have a talk with my middle daughter recently because she is dealing with a shoulder injury, and it was really interesting yesterday to hear her say, "You know what, mom? I don't know how you do it." And I kinda looked at her like, "Drive? Well, people are morons, but" I try to be defensive, and she was like, "I'm not talking about driving," in only the attitude that a 15-year-old can muster, and she's like, "How are you nice to people when you're in pain? Because this sucks." It was I kinda laughed and I said, "Well, you know what, sweetie? I try to remember that whatever I'm going through, it's not my job to decide to be a butthole to other people." I mean, I do it with varying, levels of success, but I try to make sure that that whatever struggles I'm dealing with, I don't cause more struggles for someone else to deal with, is what I kind of told her. But I am so tired of people using mental health as a get out of jail free card. Every single person is struggling with something. It's called the human experience. But you've noticed most people, again, as I said, don't take, the ghost of Miss Cleo down to get a credit line started. I mean, I I believe she was having a breakdown at the moment because of the medication. She appeared visibly disturbed. Yeah, disturbed he wasn't signing the pin, like the power of Jesus compels him to sign to reanimate his body to sign her loan. In a viral video recorded by a bank employee Tuesday and first aired by TV Global, Brazil's largest broadcaster, Nunez was seen talking to the dead man and lifting his drooping head. "Uncle, are you listening? You need to sign the loan contract. If you don't sign, there's no way because I can't sign for you," she says in the clip while thrusting a pen into his limp fingers. "Sign so you don't give me any more headaches. I can't take it anymore." When the bank staffer notes that Braga's color looks off and he appears unwell, she replies, "He's like that. He doesn't say anything." Again, I don't generally offer life advice because I am a hot mess express, but just as, a little, like, adulting, humaning for dummies, little addendum, don't take unlive relatives into the bank to sign a loan for you. It's just bad. The things I never thought I would have to say. The year 2024. And thank you, Fraud Wrangler, for gifting 1 membership, and that went to Graceful Klutz, and so thank you so much, and welcome to the Church of Mo. We have no rules except that I deeply dislike patchouli oil, so there you go. Our next story, is one that y'all know I had to cover because the one of the Blue Men Group is well, he's made his bald head into wearable canvas art, and he wears a bunch of funky wigs. So, I had to cover this just for science and posterity. Blue Men Group founder turns his head into wild canvas for wearable art. He's making baldness cool. Well, I mean, if you don't have a DVD head, baldness generally looks pretty cool. But he apparent you know what? This man have might have more wigs than I do. I didn't think it was possible, but I deeply need this troll hawk right here. This, mohawk made out of troll dolls. I need one. He's ahead of his time. New York Post, don't make me send you a cease and desist on the punniness. Chris Wink, a New York native and one of the founding members of the iconic performance art company Blue Man Group, has found a new way to express his imaginative soul on the outside. Rocking a variety of intricate mohawks he calls art fins, I've got this bald head, and in a weird way, it's kind of a blank canvas. I know. You guys, I have a hot glue gun and I have imagination. We are making a troll hawk. I just have to see how much a bunch of mini trolls are on Amazon 'cause 'cause, I am all there. Thank you. So, I will say that, my walls are going to be getting an upgrade because my wonderful husband is finally going to be home this weekend. So, I'm actually gonna get the curtain rods put up, since I managed to put these all up, now I know don't get too jealous and too full of envy because, don't have hate in your heart. But I put these all up with thumbtacks. load-bearing thumbtacks, to be honest. Mr. Mo was like, "We do have you realize I have an air compressor and you could have used a nail gun." And I was like, "I thought we had told me that I wasn't allowed to play with your power tools." And he's like, "Oh, right. Yes. True." He is aware. Uh, so, Fraud at Wrangler, I will be honest, Mr. Mo would rather because of certain medications and different things that have kind of changed since I got sick and hurt, he actually likes it better if I have a list of 5 things that I would love for him to get accomplished, and I just write it down. I know, I would this should never happen. So, he is generally aware of the, like, top 5 things that I would love to get done in a weekend. He's been going up and helping his mom since she had a fall, so, a lot of the weekend stuff that he normally gets done has gone by the wayside because taking care of his mom is so much more important, but it is nice that we have this weekend where he can stay home. It is nice. Uh So, yeah, he's just has all of these, bald I guess those are permanent tattoos? Or he colored on a lot of walls. As a mom, I can tell that he used a lot of Crayola crayons on walls. His mom still loves him and everything, but he was a color outside the box kinda kid. It takes one to know one. Let's see. I used to have hair with Blue Man we would put bald caps on, but at a certain point I said, "F it, I'll just shave it off," he said. Similar to how people express their personality through hair and nails, he realized he could do that with his head. Well, I mean, actually I do like the y'all, I think we might need to try the troll head mohawk and then the New York snow globe hawk. Um, Now he is making baldness cool. He's wearing pieces that range from sculptures made of toy trolls, neon forks, dispensers, mini snow globes, blacklight reactive sea anemones, plastic sushi, and are often compared to mohawks, but that isn't his favorite term. I don't like calling it a mohawk because that's a hairstyle, and these are art fins on my head. A sense of delight. Wink has lost count of how many pieces he's made, but he creates a few a week. I've spent way too much, thousands, sir. As a person who struggles with a crafting addiction myself, um, what you need is a very strong partner that will tell you that no, no, we cannot buy any more fabric and you do not need any more yarn right now. We have 3 totes. Finish all of those and then you can get more stuff. You just need that gentle, loving voice of sanity that will bring you back. Because believe me, I could totally make a bunch of art fins, but Mr. Mo is already confused about my wig collection. He makes them himself using online or things he finds online or random tchotchkes from his travels and craft items for specific events or just to walk around in them for fun. I was wearing one on the street and Chris Rock came up to me and said, "Wow, dude, that's crazy," he recalled. He loves wearing his punk rock and aerodynamic looks out and about because it catches people off guard and gives them a sense of delight. Or pointing and giggling, sir, but delight, you know what? That's a positive spin on it. Wink, a dad of 3, recently wore a headpiece that said "Guts," named after Olivia Rodrigo's album, when he went to the concert with his kids. Unlike him, his kids don't love drawing attention to themselves. I'm always like, "Kids, let's do something crazy," and they're like, "No, that's dumb," he lamented. However, another dad at the concert gave him major kudos. "My daughter made me wear this glitter, but you win the prize," a fellow father told him. He first got the idea for a headpiece in 2021 after opening his psychedelic fun house, Wink World, at the immersive entertainment venue Area 15 in Las Vegas, where he was the director of Cool S for 3 years. You know what? That sounds like a job for me. Director of Cool S. Although I would like to be Empress of Cool S. I'm just saying if I can work on my, you know, title. He has since become their creative consultant instead so he can focus on Wink World full time. Last fall, another Wink World opened in the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota, but the original Wink World started in his Manhattan apartment, which itself is a trippy playground. Y'all have to see these. I mean, these are look, I don't know how deeply he fell into the '80s, but these are some interesting things. Also, perhaps someone take his glue gun away just for a couple days. Although I do like the one with the astronauts has to be incredibly heavy. Let's see, the idea behind Wink World is that it's an immersive dreamscape where there's one eye open and one eye closed, he said. "Sir, how high are you right now? I'm just asking for a friend. I make no judgment calls, but sir, this the closed eye is the world of imagination, dreams, and visions, a kind of blending of them. So there's this hybrid world, and I applied that to my bald head. In that world, the character Wink, inspired by Chris's real last name, winks. The fantastical result is what he's thinking manifests on his head, and it just sprouts right out. I love that he's made his own headcanon for this. He's got more lore than 40K. I love this. His inspirations are at times completely random. When I was at the Mall of America, I would just roam around looking for stuff I can fit on my head, he explained. While on vacation in Brazil, he wasn't sure what kind of plug in adapters to purchase, so he just got a bunch and later turned them into art. It is a plan, Stan. We are there with bells on. We just have to figure out a time. When he was in Woodstock, he bought a bunch of mini guitars. I kinda like the flamingo one. Another time, he just purchased stuff from a touristy New York shop I would never go into, Wink confessed. Could just picture their faces, like, they're like, "Hey, this dude just left and he bought 12 miniature snow globes, not just 2 or 1," he quipped. Sometimes he'll enlist other artists to create pieces for him, such as the blacklight reactive sacred geometry art fin by artist Max Steiner. I'm still saying the troll doll one is just I don't know why it speaks to me so much, but it's great. Although the Corona one is hilarious too. I mean, eh, everyone has to have a hobby. People often come up to him and ask him how he sticks the art onto his head, or more importantly, how he gets it off. The information is proprietary, he said. However, he jokes that if someone wants to spend time in the adhesion community, they will find the answer for themselves. I'm guessing he either uses wig tape or double-sided tape. It's not that crazy. Or it's attached to a piece of fabric and he uses spirit gum on his head. I thought it was a pineapple, Pernilla. Not being c completely sure of how that all operates, I will not give you speculative information. Wink considers his headpieces a form of grown up play, which I've been doing since Blue Man began in 1987. What I learned then and what I'll tell young people now is that I've found my way to express myself. Some people will just beat themselves up and try to fit into an existing art form, he explained. Let's see here. Where's And you won't catch him taking himself too seriously either. He said that headpieces aren't high art. They're just fun and hopefully will inspire people to break the mold. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that looks like double-sided tape to me or spirit gum. He's using a piece of plastic. I just want people to laugh for a second and realize that we can be a little silly and we don't have to all follow the rules. I think this is the beauty and message of many parts of our culture right now, which is celebrating people expressing who they are. And for me, I like to wear art on my head. I mean, same. That's why I have this beautiful Bobby Hill and all of the phrases of Bobby Hill Hawaiian shirt. Because you know what? We could all be a little more like Bobby Hill, and the world would be a better place. Hashtag Bobby Hill, pay it forward. In not so great news, but this woman has been found guilty. We had covered this story when this woman was going into trial, so we weren't quite sure what the jury was going to think. And it turns out she will not be going to a trial because she has taken a plea deal. But if we remember the reality breaking idea that this woman was claiming to be pregnant, and then stole a baby from a teenager she lured to her house. That is the best episode ever. You guys, these Hawaiian shirts with all of my favorite characters on them were my gift to myself when I reached 2,000. Uh, I can embiggen the picture. I am trying to do this new thing because I got dinged about, one of the ads that was playing while I was reading the news. So they were all upset about, a Big Brother ad that I didn't even put on one of the news articles, but they dinged me. So I took that clip out, and then I've started doing this format so that guys can see pictures, but that way, if there's anything ads-wise on there, I can, in theory, with all of the skills of tech that I have and, you know, the grace of Thor, I can keep those from getting too crazy. So this woman did accept a plea deal. The Illinois woman who strangled a pregnant woman to death and cut the victim's baby from the body has pled guilty to first-degree murder, and in exchange, she will spend 50 years in prison, according to Chicago ABC affiliate WLS. As previously reported, authorities said that Clarissa Figueroa, 51. This woman is 51. Now, I know that there are such things as um, change of life babies, but they're not exceedingly common. So at 51, I would think that you'd probably realize that you weren't pregnant. Uh, she lured the victim, Marlene Ochoa Lopez, 19, to her home in April 2019 by offering her free baby clothes. At one point, Marlene, 9 months pregnant, was looking at a photo album featuring Figueroa's recently deceased son. The defendant used this moment to begin trying to unalive her with a coaxial cable. According Thank you, Twisted Logic, and welcome. According to prosecutors, Marlene managed to get her hand under the cable, and no one is gonna fight like a mama bear, so this poor teenage girl was probably scared out of her mind, thought someone was doing a kindness to her, and, was just going to get some baby clothes. So, Clarissa Figueroa, this woman pictured, called out to her teen daughter and not teen, but her younger daughter and co-defendant, Desiree Figueroa, 29, and said, "You quote, "You're not doing your effing job," end quote. The daughter managed to pull out, Marlon's fingers one by one, authorities said in a Chicago Sun-Times report. Marlene eventually stopped fighting. Desiree Figueroa then brought the kitchen knife that Clarissa Figueroa used to cut the baby out of the victim's belly. The infant, named by his family Yvonne Yadel Lopez, initially survived but passed away at the hospital. Yes, for the love of all that is absolutely insanity, ma'am. Cesarean sections are incredibly complex even in a surgical setting because of the amount of blood flow that there is to the uterus, where the placenta is attached and all of that, and you just went in there like a blind, crazed, I don't know, freaking ridiculousness. Your punishment will never be enough because my son will never be able to hug his mother ever, the child's father, who is also named Giovanni Lopez, wrote in a statement read before the court in Cook County, Illinois on Monday, according to WLS. The loss of my daughter's life is something I will never overcome. Marlena's mother, Raquel Orgriosti, wrote in another statement. During the criminal cases, her co-defendants folded under prosecution. Police caught her boyfriend, uh, Piotr Bobak, hosing off a rug with bleach, and later he pled guilty to a charge of concealing a homicide and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. More recently, her daughter, Desiree Figueroa, 29, took a plea deal for 30 years in prison in exchange for testifying against Clarissa Figueroa if that case reached trial. Authorities previously said that Clarissa Figueroa had told her family in October 2018 that she was pregnant, even though she was in her mid-40s and had gotten her tubes tied. Welcome, Aaron Olivia and the Shizzy Raid. No, the baby lived for a short bit, but I'm guessing the trauma of the birth, there are certain things, so I'll kind of take it to my youngest, most feral son, but he had what was called a precipitous birth, and sometimes if you are delivered too quickly, y um, the process of birth helps squeeze a lot of the amniotic fluid out of the lungs. So, if he was indeed given an unauthorized and unmedically supervised C-section to get out of his mother, he could have faced all sort of complications. I mean, there is a good amount of insanity that was probably done to him, not to mention that his mother was being strangled, so the oxygen level to him was already being compromised. And then you have this dingus wielding a not even a scalpel, but a steak knife. So I am glad that this woman chose a plea deal, and I use the term woman loosely. This corroded trash water found guilty. Not I don't even have to say allegedly. But it saves the family having to go through another trial. The family of the victim who lost not only a girlfriend, a wife, a daughter, but also a grandchild, a son, you know, the future of their family. I am glad that she, at least in possibly the last little bit of humanity she has left, saved the family from that. I'm sure it was more just to save her own hide, but I'm glad that the side result was also that it saved the family having to hear these horrific facts again and again. They've already been through it 2 trials in, and that's the sort of absolute pain and sadness that the mother of Dan Markel, the victim in the Charlie Adelson, Wendy Adelson, Donna Adelson kind of case. She's had to go through not on now 3 trials, getting ready to go through a 4th trial, where she's going to have to hear the horrific details of how her son spent his last few moments because these people conspired against them. So, regardless if it was to save her hide or not, for the family of the victims, I'm okay with her getting a plea deal. I don't think she's going to make it her full 40 years. Something tells me that, possibly taking on a healthier leaf will not happen in prison, but, you know, who knows? In our next story, because it's Friday and oh my gosh, y'all saw the story on Shizzy's last night, and I couldn't not report on this. John Wayne Bobbitt reveals which was worst, having ta his bait and tackle removed or his toes amputated. Now, I'm gonna guess one would probably be worser, but let's see what he says. John Wayne Bobbitt, which had all of his toes amputated recently, but told the Post that the loss is nowhere near as devastating as when his estranged wife cut off his schmeckle in 1993. Well, I mean, you got 10 of those little ding dongs. That is going to be a standalone video because it is a little bit spicy. But yes, I will be covering that because what in the absolute how did we get stuck? I will go ahead. I would have said it before and I will say it again. I blamed CERN and the particle collider, not uh, a regular from Baker's chat. But they somehow turned that stuff on in like 2020 and they diverted us into the stupid dimension. And I would like to be sent back. Now that was trauma, he tells the Post from his Florida home. I was 26 years old when I lost my shortest leg, and I didn't even want to live when that happened until the doctor put it back on. The toes aren't nearly as traumatic. I mean, n sir, I'd be a little upset if I lost all my toes, but I can understand if I had the ability to both stand up and use the restroom and write my name in cursive in the snow, I'd be very upset if I lost that too. Bobbitt, now 57, became an international sensation in the 90s when his then wife, Lorena, cut off his member with a sharp kitchen knife as he slept. It was later reattached by doctors, but the shocking incident made him a pop culture fixture. Bobbitt was also keen to show the world that his wedding tackle still performed. So he, actually did 3 adult movies because of course he did, which became the fastest selling, adult films that didn't feature a pizza delivery guy to ever be made. I mean, no. After all the trauma he's been through, former Marine Bobbitt can take a joke about his most recent dismembering. "At least I don't have to wash between my toes in the shower anymore," he jokes. "That's a bright side, I guess." Bobbitt recently went or had to have his toes taken off after a diagnosis of toxic peripheral polyneuropathy from being exposed to contaminated water at Camp Lejeune Medical Training Facility in the late '80s. That is sad that he was part of the Camp Lejeune terrible terrible disservice that we've done to a lot of our service members. He told the Post he had substantial nerve damage in his toes, and he also feels numbness in his fingers and now walks with a pronounced limp and has to wear special prosthetic shoes for balance. Good morning, Jude. Bobbitt also showed the Post documentation he suffers from neurological issues, including memory loss, concentration issues, and the inability to read social cues. He is part of a class action lawsuit against the U.S. government, which has accepted liability and set aside more than $1 billion to pay out their victims. Bobbitt is just waiting for his cut. Uh, Bobbitt believes that he may be suffering from neurological or he may have been suffering from neurological issues before the 1993 incident, which made him famous, and his health problems may have contributed to the maiming. And there you can see him with his little look, I'm not gonna deal with his feet because I have a thing against feet. It's a Friday, and I'm trying to be nice to you. But early '90s, adult film stars, you're welcome, America. Good night. The amount of foundation that just was not a skin color in imagination. "I wasn't a great husband," admits Bobbitt. "No, you kind of weren't. That's why Lorena got, well, off scot-free." I think the tainted water was part of that. Before that, I had never done drugs, got into trouble, but I was exposed to those chemicals by drinking highly contaminated water, and I made stupid mistakes. Well, yeah, that's what happens when you don't match your foundation to any skin tone known to man. For instance, Bobbitt says he presented his then wife with a sexy teddy for Christmas in front of her family. I mean, Mr. Mo would have gotten, you know, A for effort, but D for dingus, and why would you give me lingerie in front of my mom? She closed the box, and I was saying, "Show it to everyone. Let's see it. Let everyone see it's a great color." I didn't realize I was being inappropriate, and I think that was hard for her. Bobbitt told the Post he was young and brash at the time of the, well, tackling, and Lorena thought he was cheating on her, although he swears he wasn't. Days before the incident, he had been riding his bicycle when a woman had hit him with her car. When she came to the house to replace the damaged bike, Lorena flew into a range. After mutilating him, Lorena drove off, panicked, to her boss's house, throwing his appendage in a field. A panicked Bobbitt sat on the bed of the Virginia apartment they shared, bleeding profusely from the crotchular region and wondering if he was going to survive. But Bobbitt's luck changed when two police officers stumbled across said twig and got it back to his berries. But before that, they packed it on ice. Doctors reattached Bobbitt's well, found member in a 9-hour surgery. I am not mature enough for this. Days later, Bobbitt called his parents to tell them about his first giblets. I can't read this sentence. Days later, I'm going to try to read this with a straight face. Bobbitt called his parents to tell them about his first erection. Sir, how much of the water did you drink? How much? Because if my child, my boy child, and I don't care if he was in a horrific wedding tackle maiming incident, I would never want to know. If he would just use coded language like, "Mom, the pipes are, you know, the works all seem to be a goin' again." JKD Buck. Why this happened had to happen before, body footage cameras were readily available. The universe was so mean. My mother answered the phone, and I told her that things had arisen, she said, and she said, "I don't wanna hear about that. Talk to your father." Like all good mothers, like, I look, this is above and beyond my pay grade. Tell your father. I just go. The incident, shockingly, marked the end of Lorena and John's marriage. I know you're shocked. I mean, what strong marriage doesn't have a little wedding tackle maiming in it? Let's see. Lorena claimed that John had, engaged in domestic violence and other forms of violence on multiple occasions and that she had snapped. John went on trial for the marital violence, but was found not guilty. Lorena was later tried for the attack, but was acquitted by reason of a temporary insanity. They went their separate ways. I mean, what kind of Hallmark card slash muffin basket do you get when you're like, look, I mean, I will admit there are times Mr. Mo gets in trouble for things I have dreamed about. Like, "Do you know what you did in my dream?" And he's like, "I wasn't even there. I have no idea." And I was like, "You told me to shut the hell up and you had a nasty attitude." And he's like, "I understand that, but why is dream me not in trouble? I real me was not here doing anything." I was like, "You're still in trouble. Dream me must have known you were gonna do this." Uh, She said in court that I ripped out her lady bits, Bobbitt said, but really, I think I ripped out her heart. I'd gotten a job at a nightclub. She didn't like all the women I met, and she always thought I was cheating, and she decided to lash out at me. Lorena did not return texts or calls from the post. Bobbitt is currently single but open to finding love and possibly other toes. He's looking for someone traditional. Like, traditional as in, like, telling your mother about your, you know, boners traditional, or getting your wife a teddy in front of your in-laws traditional? Sir, your level of traditional is a bit warped, and I say this. He said, I'm not dating right now. I'm working on myself and getting my medical and legal stuff done. I'm waiting for a traditional woman. Modern day women are broken and have a lot of baggage and problems. Sir, I think that the person with a schmeckle that's never been detached should probably be throwing these stones about modern womanhood, okay? Dude, you done pissed off a woman so much that she did bait and tackled you. I mean, I'm just throwing out there that you might not be the woman whisperer that you think you are. I believe he is 57, but let me go to the top of the article because I got sidetracked. I know you're shocked. What how could I get sidetracked? Yes, he's 57. Yeah, but I will say that him having Legionnaire's disease may explain some of the cognitive, maybe, disconnects that he has and maybe the sort of lack of filter that he has that doesn't he doesn't realize that peopling this is kind of, uh this is kind of maybe not the mental path that most people would take. Oh, no, it gets better. He's apparently going to sprinkle us with more wisdom. I need a proper woman who was raised by her parents and grandparents. I need a strong woman. John Wayne Bobbitt to join Andrew Tate in teaching young men how to man. This can only end terribly. In our last story of the day, this was just too good, uh, to pass up. Quote, "There was a monster in the woods that night. A man who said he unalived pal to save himself from Bigfoot, shockingly found guilty. Apparently, there were not a lot of Bigfoot supporters on this man's, jury." What the actual hell am I looking at here? An Oklahoma man who said he killed his buddy because he thought he was going to feed him to Bigfoot was found guilty on Thursday. I mean, you know what? If I found out that my buddy was plotting with Sasquatch against me, I would probably challenge him to a duel as well. A judge ruled that there was enough evidence to convict 55-year-old Larry Sanders for the first-degree murder in the death of Jimmy Knighton in July 2022. Sanders will be facing a lifelong prison sentence on June 18th. Quote, "Yes, there was a monster in the woods that night, but it wasn't Bigfoot, it was Larry Sanders," District Attorney Eric Johnson told Ada, Oklahoma CBS affiliate KXII. KXII reported that Sanders took the stand in his defense on Wednesday. You know what? If we don't have streaming video of his defense attorney basically just pulling out the bottle, like, just as he's on the stand, just taking out the entire bottle of bourbon, unscrewing the cap, and then just drinking, like, not even hiding it in a flask anymore. I'm gonna need this, 'cause he was probably in full Uncle BS mode. He's he said he and Knighton, 52, were noodling in the river when he saw a 12-foot Bigfoot downstream, and he reportedly testified that Knighton kept telling him to go after a fish, which made Sanders think that Knighton was gonna try to drown him and feed him to the Bigfoot. I mean, I figured Bigfoot could hunt all on his own. Why do you think that your friend was gonna unalive you and give you to Bigfoot? I figured Bigfoot would like to hunt his own food. As Lawn Crime reported, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation said in a state press or in this press release that agents responded on July 10th, 2022 to a request for assistance from a Seminole County Sheriff's Office and a Pontotoc County Sheriff's Office regarding a possible homicide. Authorities said Sanders had confessed that he and Knighton were noodling on the South Canadian River the day before when a confrontation ensued. Sanders allegedly admitted to striking and giving a firm neck hug to Knighton until the other man passed away. Sanders' lawyer said that their client wasn't trying to unalive Knighton, but the situation just got out of control, as all situations that involve Bigfoot do, because he's the best hide and seeker ever. I mean, you cannot play with a master. Sanders alleged um, noodling is fishing in which a person submerges into a body of water and uses his or her hands to catch a fish. Look, I know it's popular around here. I know I am a hill chuck American, a hillbilly American, but this just creeps the heck out of me. If you love noodling, continue to love noodling. It just creeps me out. I have No. No, thanks. Uh, and you stick your arm into the fish's mouth, which just looks completely not kosher to me, but I have the absolute sense of humor of a irreverent 12-year-old boy, so I'm sure you can imagine the humor that my mind takes on that one. According to a report at the time from NBC affiliate KTEN, when deputies first responded to the 911 call, they arrived as Sanders was telling a family member that he had just unalived Knighton. Sanders then spoke to detectives and allegedly blamed the attack on Knighton, calling or Knighton on Bigfoot. So his statement was that Mr. Knighton had summoned Bigfoot to come and unalive Mr. Sanders, as you do. I mean, if I'm going to summon any entity, it would be Bigfoot, and that's because he's my running mate. That is pretty hilarious, legendary racing. And that's why he had to, well, shuffle him off of this mortal coil, or if in fact, do like a 300 kick off the back of a well off this mortal coil. Christensen reportedly added when he spoke to deputies that Sanders appeared to be under the influence of something. No, no, it's only the most sober people that see Bigfoot, as evidenced by all of his interactions with Hillbilly America. We are the most sober lot of America, as evidenced by our Corsairs on cement blocks and our toilet bowl planters, which are classy AF. Anywho, I hope that you're have a wonderful Friday. I will be doing random little videos here and there this weekend. I will probably not be on Baker's, uh, Angels because Um, I think I've told pretty much everyone, but we are going to look at a batch of Maine Coon kittens, to see if we find any we like, and then, of course, I have to figure out a nickname for them. I am from Southern Central Indiana, although with all the shenanigans legally and, well, pseudo legally that Indiana is, uh is pulling off, we, we no longer claim Indiana. I'm like, I live at the crossroads of Children in the Corn in Circle City. Awesome possum. So, I will probably have all of the pictures. Uh, so I'm looking at a cattery in, Indiana. Actually, Mr. Mo set this all up because I have obviously been pretty sad with Mr. Friberto going ahead before me up to heaven to remind God that I had tried, as I am just aiming for purgatory. But Fry, being a pure soul, has decided to go on before me and sing my praises. But it's pretty hard losing a pet, and Mr. Mo knew that for a long time, like, since we got together, if I hadn't gotten a service well, potentially a service puppy, I was gonna get, a Maine Coon cat, so he set this all up and kind of without prompting, and it's been something nice to look forward to, even if we maybe don't find our kitten this oh, I don't know that I can do a puppy right now. It might be years, but because it just is, so I'm hoping that even if I don't find the kitten I'm looking for, just, having something to look forward to, continuing to research and find the cat that is meant to come to our house, it will be nice. Thor Thor is is not at all impressed with this. But as long as the kitten is smaller than him, he can definitely, tell it that he is the king of the house. And a puppy is a yeah, a puppy is a giant commitment, and, there's a lot of things my walking isn't as great as I thought I had hoped it would be, which is why I will be getting a walking pad so I can continue to work on it and get stronger. But this is all side tangenty stuff, so be on the lookout for my TED Talk of for new teachers, why you don't wanna deal with a crazy honey badger mom if you mess with our sons. I will be working on that this weekend. I will be working on a couple of other standalone videos. I have not missed the furry walkout of a middle school in, Utah, so it is on there. You know, if it had furries in the title, I was there and with bells on, but that will be a standalone video. And thank you, Publicly Buzzed, for joining. And I will see you all this weekend and have a wonderful day. Bye, guys. Oh, that is not the Mo, could you just do buttoning?